God. Oh, we're back.
We are.
Right. Jesus Christ, Hunley, you scared me there.
Yeah, there's a running theme. I promise I'm not hiding anything occult related.
Let me tell you something. Hunley told me he was hiding things cult related before the show, and I'm not supposed to say this.
Occult.
What did I say? Cult?
Yeah. If you can bust my balls, get it.
Hunley told me that he wants us. I wanted to look into the Salem witchcraft trials, and Hunley said religiously and spiritually he can't do it. So let that be put out there.
Yeah. Okay.
Those Salem witchcraft trials for America's Untold Stories, because of Hunley and his weird predilection against the occult.
Allegedly.
But we did do the Amityville Horror, so I'll give him credit. He was shaking like a leaf through that entire episode.
That's going to be coming up actually tonight. I mean, I want to talk about that a little bit here.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
There's some neat little parallels. But then, yeah. Right. Let's start off with, are we on the Lucky 13 vote right now for speaker?
Dude, I hope it goes to 142 ballots. You know what's amazing to me? Here's the point that people are not getting. When he goes back to the whatever they're called, the MAGA squad, let's say, right? He goes back to the MAGA squad. They're sucking him in saying, we agree, let's have a vote. And he goes, okay. And they have the vote and they screw him. And this is the greatest joke of the entire thing, because to call for the vote means that, how many votes is this? 12 votes, Eric?
12 done. He's failed on 12. The 12th,
okay.
The 12th one they were starting to turn.
No. They're not starting to turn anything. 12 times they said, okay, you're right. We agree with you. And then just laughing behind their backs, he calls for the vote, loses again, and goes back for the 13th time. And they just go, we're sorry. We're really sorry. This time we mean it. You're saying you're going to get a bridge in Nebraska. We're going to get the spending bill. Okay, great. Let's have a vote. We're ready. Are you sure? Because don't make a schmuck out of me again. Come on. No. We're in. Goes back, loses again.
So you're saying that he's trying to be Speaker Charlie Brown.
It's Charlie Brown. Yeah, it's absolutely Charlie Brown. And the fact that he keeps doing it shows you, A, how gullible he is, B, how much he wants it, and C, what a naive, stupid douchebag he is.
You know what? I mean, considering his choice of roommates, what do you expect?
You know, nobody's brought that up. And
Tucker did, didn't he?
Tucker brought it up for a millisecond. And it's been explored before that he lives with Frank
Barris. Rich Barris.
Rich has done it.
Oh, yeah. He's talked about
it. It's creepy. It's creepy. This guy's a creepy, weird dude.
Yeah, he happens to live with the pollster.
Happens to live with Frank Lutz, who I saw, just as a side note, numerous times, Dodger Stadium with young boys. Let me put it out there. I just want to put it out there for the audience. Frank Lutz, Dodger Stadium, young, not underage, but super young boys.
Right. Now, if I recall, and somebody have to check me on this, but I think Rich Bear said that Frank Lutz did a little bit of work for the, I think they're called the Sackler family.
Oh, the Sackler family. OxyContin. Interesting.
A lot of polling to show that, no, it's really not addictive.
Right. That's right. I forgot about that. What a douchebag. What a war crime. He's another one.
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder, but I mean, there's not much more to cover other than it's amusing.
No, there is more to cover, because the actual proposals that they put forth, Aaron Mate was filling in for Jimmy Dore, and he had Jimmy Dore on as a guest of his own show that he was.
Yes, definitely too.
Right. That was weird. But they mentioned what the proposals were that McCarthy has signed off on. 5 of them could vote out the speaker if 5 people call for it. 72-hour transparency on all bills put onto the House floor. There were a number of great ideas.
Oh, no, now it's up to one person can do it.
Oh, that's
not just
better.
5. But I'm glad you brought up Jimmy Dore. I actually had a note for that. I was like, oh, shit. It's hilarious because the lefties are pulling their hair out saying, those damn Republicans are doing what we've been saying we should do. Because remember, force the vote.
Right. On the same point, Jimmy Dore said he was getting a tingle down his leg from Matt Gaetz standing up and denouncing the Uniparty. It was more than just ripping out his hair. He felt simpatico to Matt Gaetz
Oh yeah.
In a
But
lot,
he's
he says
upset.
not on the issues, but just on the activities and actions of the conservative right, doing what he wished for, hoped for, and dreamed for the squad would do. Right, Eric?
Oh, he demanded it. They had a campaign.
Yeah,
It was called
yeah.
Force the Vote.
Force the
That
vote.
put
Yeah.
put him at war with all the other lefties and the Young Turks who are total corporate sellouts.
Right.
And I think that's just freaking. It's just funny.
It's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful world. It's come full circle.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all these strange partners aware. But yeah, I mean, he and Glenn Greenwald were talking about that. How that was Jimmy Dore saying, he's like, look.
That's right.
Pelosi can't be speaker without the squad.
Right.
And AOC was saying, we're going to get, healthcare up there as a vote one way or another. And then goes right into line.
Right. Well, it's like Tucker and Mate and Jimmy Dore has pointed out, it's politics 101. It's democracy at work. It's making the sausage. I mean, this is how it works. And people are aghast. Like, there's Dan Crenshaw, this guy calling them terrorists. Mm-hmm. We now know who Dan Crenshaw is, don't we, folks?
What do they call him? Eye Patch McCain?
Eye Patch McCain. I mean, holy cow. This guy's a maniac. He's he must be McCarthy's hatchet douche or something. Don't try to use it. That's my phrase. I have trademarked that. Hatchet douche. I already have a trademark on that. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody heard it here first.
Right.
Make sure you copy it, get a clip, put it out there on Twitter.
Like hashtag hatchet.
I don't know if Mark's blocked you, so don't bother tagging.
If I blocked you, you're not getting unblocked. I'll tell you right now. One guy was going to Hunley. He was appealing to a higher authority. He goes, I didn't say anything. All I did was denounce Trump. What seems to be the problem? And therein, my friends, lies the problem.
If you hadn't guessed, Mark is a fan of Trump.
Right.
So he's going to probably be going along with that. Okay, so circling around to Amityville Horror, man, I'll get to everybody's questions. I just want to
my high school career, my high school years.
No. There was a weird coincidence, and I saw it because of the dude Crime Circus, and he's someone who put out the interviews with Alec Baldwin and stuff before we even put it out there.
Okay,
but in the guy's coverage, very interesting things. Brian Koberger, the alleged killer in Moscow, Idaho.
Okay.
Of the four, he was a criminology PhD candidate.
Right.
And he studied all these serial killers. Now,
and one of DeFeo or
we're getting to it. We're getting to it.
Cool.
Anyway, there's several things on it. First off, he went and got his master's, I believe it's in DeSales or something like that in Pennsylvania.
LaSalle?
LaSalle, DeSalle. I had a link, but it seems to be gone. Hold on.
Just want to interject some humor. When Chris Rock returned to Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn to his old neighborhood after being in college. DeSales, right. When Chris Rock returned to his old neighborhood after being in college for a number of years, they said, where you been, bro? He said, I was getting my master's degree. And the guy says, so now you're my motherfucking master? Chris Rock, not me, folks. I just want to put that out there. But go on, Hunley. I just want to interject some Friday humor.
Hey, why not? Anyway, at DeSales, the criminologist there is Dr. Catherine Ramsland, who is a professor of forensic psychology and criminal justice. Mm-hmm. She had correspondence and did work with Dennis Rader, aka BTK. Mm-hmm. And it hasn't been absolutely confirmed, but coincidentally, a guy who got his master's degree in the program with her in the program, and BTK, Dennis Rader's daughter, is saying that she is sure that he was corresponding with her dad. So there's that one.
Okay.
And he likes history, it appears, because Amityville Horror and Moscow, Idaho, both took place on November 13th.
No.
Both took place at 3 a.m.
No.
If you look at the addresses, the Amityville address was 112. The Moscow address was 1122.
Okay. I could buy that.
That's a pretty tight little coincidence there for a historical murder from possibly a criminologist who obviously has studied all these. But wait, there's more.
What?
Yep. Let's see if I can share this screen. His mother, Brian's mother, apparently was very concerned about the execution of another individual and wrote a little article about it.
The mother?
Yep, about Ted Bundy.
Oh boy.
She's very upset about his execution.
Oh boy.
And wrote this piece. Perhaps one of the saddest commentaries on mankind was evident during the execution of Theodore Bundy. While no sane, compassionate individual would excuse the atrocities committed by this man, neither would any sane individual applaud the passing of his funeral hearse. What have we become? Is the taking of a human life acceptable when the state takes responsibility for it? This is this guy's mother.
Dear Lord. I think the mother was a fan of my mass murder trading cards from National Lampoon. I don't know if you have the cards, but maybe if you could show that to the audience. When I did that, there was a certain amount of people, of course, this was like 1987, around the country who began to worship the cards, even though the cards were a parody and a political satire on the Associated Press rankings of home run leaders in the American and National League.
I know. And somebody was so upset about that.
Right. Here they go. Yeah.
They were saying, I got into it with them a little on Twitter. It's just like, there's no point. I can't explain the whole principle of the satire in a tweet, because it's like, yes, it's offensive. That was the point.
Wow. Yeah. People just, first of all, people were taking it seriously. And it was a parody of the Associated Press that had ranked home run hitters in the major leagues by numerical order, which is what they did with this.
Yeah, stats of how many they killed.
With the typeface and everything, we copied the same thing and did it as baseball cards, with the fantastic art department of National Lampoon at the time. So it became like a real controversial thing. But the people who got it. I mean, they understood it's Lampoon. It's not the Wall Street Journal, for Christ's sake.
Right.
But even today, people don't get it. Even today. But I think the mother, I guarantee you that mother saw that.
It could well be. It could well be. I mean, it's...
By the way, Trump called for the invasion of Mexico to destroy the drug cartels less than a week after we said it on this show.
And Mexico City, by the way, is under siege by a cartel because of Chapo's son being arrested.
Right. But he called for naval interdiction and military interdiction, which I said last week on this show is a good idea.
Here's the weird question. I wonder if in fact Mexico City might request it. I mean, or the Mexican government, because right now,
what difference does it make? What difference does it make? You're killing 100,000 Americans every year with impunity. There seems to be no consequences for anything. It's an act of war. There's no other way to spin it. It's an act of war. I mean, nothing else has worked. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah. I mean,
Trump said it all.
Well, if they're under siege, I'm just saying it's possible they could ask for help. And
they've been under siege for years in certain states in Mexico, Guadalajara, Sonora. It is a siege. I mean, they own entire states. You talk about narco states. I mean, there's legitimate narco states within the country of Mexico.
Well, yeah, when the chief narcos are the cops.
Yeah.
I mean, high-level cops. And this is proven fact, folks. I'm not just throwing things out there.
Right.
But, yeah.
I think even some of the presidents were involved in narcotics and everything.
The ones who lived. I mean, look.
Okay, film pick of the weekend just came to me. Savages by Oliver Stone.
The Don Winslow book.
Yeah, the Don book. Yeah, the Savages by Oliver Stone. That's my drug courier trafficking pick of Benicio del Toro's in it. I forgot about that.
He's a great author, but his Twitter timeline and yours would not correspond well.
No, not at all. I think we did crash into each other at one point. I think we did ram into each other.
Oh, man.
Bret Easton Ellis is back, too, with a new novel.
Really?
Another unusual conservative gay guy in Hollywood, just to put that out there. Bret Easton Ellis is a fascinating character, lives with a young progressive lefty Marxist, but he loves the guy too much to get rid of him. He's on his podcast. He's talked about it repeatedly.
Okay, I was going to say, is this podcast back? Because I think he dropped it behind a paywall. And
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I just used to listen to it, and he would complain about the
films. He was
the film reviews are great, and his taste is psychotic, but his film taste is weird. But his battles with his young lover are worth the price of admission because they'd watch the news together. And Ellis is a conservative, so it's just a fascinating, strange situations.
Crazy. Okay.
Strange gay bedfellows.
Somebody's saying, had a dream about Barnes, need a fix. You might have an issue. Barnes is not here today, as everybody can tell. Barnes, I think, is off for the holidays.
He's off for the holidays. We thought he'd come in, but apparently he's off for the holidays. So we'll get him next time. Maybe even next week. He may make it up, right, Eric?
Well, it'd be awesome because next week is Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's going to be good because of Eric's incredible revulsion towards the occult. This is going to be an interesting Friday the 13th. He doesn't like to talk about the occult, as many people at home know.
Apparently.
Right.
Barnes is getting a firmware update.
Right. That's funny.
Oh my. Actually, we've got some super chats that came in here. Here's a little seed from this chicken to kick off the stream. Great show from Michael. Thank you.
Wow, Michael on the board.
Former Kentucky governor just trolled media that he is running, gave a fiery 30-minute speech, and then walked out of the Capitol.
Walking out of the Capitol to his 12-seat van, running for president?
Maybe governor? I'm not sure what he was running for.
Okay. I don't know who this guy is.
Okay, and Dustin Russell always has something cheeky to say. My uncle is David Ferry. Frank Lutz is a weirdo. Love the show.
Funny. That's funny.
Let me see. I didn't think the men's bathroom needed feminine hygiene products until Congressman Dan Crenshaw started speaking. Yes. Well,
who is Gene Shepard, by the way? The evangelist? Because I was watching Nashville last night, forced to by a guest who came over to my place, and in the background was a bus with Gene Shepard's group in it, and I think she might have in the Robert Altman film Nashville, which is insufferable, by the way. It does not survive the decade since it was made. I had to finally pull the plug about an hour in, and she wasn't happy, but it had to go. But Gene Shepard's bus is in the background in the movie.
I'm going to say something that's probably a sacrilege to a lot of people, but I found that to be the same about Red Dawn. Sorry, loved it at the time.
First Red Dawn or the second?
Loved it at the time, but
okay. When the second Red Dawn is actually better than the first Red Dawn.
Well, it's a low bar in my opinion. When I watched it again, I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe!"
Oh no! I mean, the second Red Dawn, Chris Helmsworth is in it. I think Thor, one of his
Helmsworth, Liam or Chris or one of the Hemsworth, whatever. Anyway, but yeah, that's one that this is like, oh, that didn't.
My double feature is Savages and Hell or High Water with Ben Foster and Chris Pine, who Eric was asking about the other day. Texas bank robbery film combined with Savages, also on the Tex-Mex border, might give you a good weekend of flavor.
Speaking of Chris Pine, the reason why he came up is I happened to see a post side by side. Chris Pine's father is Robert Pine, who played the sergeant in Chips. For anyone who's ever seen, but it's one of those like, wait, what? Holy cow! Okay, that's insane. And on to movies. Next week, The Old Way comes out with Nick Cage.
Ooh, finally!
And that is the first movie that Hannah Gutierrez Reed was the official armorer on.
Right.
So congrats to her. She has a movie coming out next week.
Credit. And, maybe she could rebuild her career. She can get past these lawsuits.
Yeah. Well, we only have 2 left to get into the sue mix out of all the accused. I'm waiting on
Halls versus.
Well, we got Halls has a suit now, the latest one. Baldwin has a suit. It's like the Mamie Mitchell train is like picking up all these other suits behind it. So I'm waiting.
Just remind the audience that Gloria Allred is the legal counsel to Mamie Mitchell in that suit, and she's a big game hunter, so that's why that suit is important.
Yes.
And it's right near my place here. So when it does happen, I'm going to try to get downtown in LA to cover that if I can get in there when it physically does happen. So I'm going to try to do that, which is easier than going to Santa Fe, New Mexico to cover the other suits. I'd rather go over here in LA.
Well, yeah, obviously.
I'll put on my hat like the Three Stooges that says press, with the thing sticking out, like the press sticker that the Three Stooges used to wear.
Definitely. Okay. Got a Rumble rant from Seymour SR.
Oh, he's a regular on Twitter. I like that guy.
Yep.
I think he lives in the woods somewhere, like in Nebraska or some shit.
Maybe. He's saying when Maxine Waters is threatening Republican House members to vote for McCarthy, really tells us all something.
That's a great line. That's a great line. Yeah, it's the same thing as like Trump shouldn't run because he'll lose. Yeah, get yourself another candidate because Trump's not the right guy. When they start telling you that, circle the wagons.
All right. So we got a lot of messages coming in on locals. I got talking.
It's just in wire.
All right. First up, what are the odds of Trump becoming speaker? I heard he said he'd take it.
He said he'd take it, and there is the Matt Gaetz vote, although I saw it disappeared when it was put up on the board this morning. I didn't see his name up there. There was like an audible gasp from the crowd when Gaetz nominated him. That was great. That was worth the price. Somebody smarter than me said he could be. I think it was Aramate. He said, was it Aramate? No, it was somebody on the Duran, I think, said he could be endorsing McCarthy so he can run against McCarthy and McConnell together as an inept team of douchebags when he does run for president. You know what I mean? Like he could say, I try to help this guy. He's unhelpable. The two of them are killing the party and the country. Vote for me. I'm the only one who can save us. That was what I think the Duran was saying yesterday.
Could be. I don't know.
Because it is odd that he's endorsing McCarthy. Like, what's it to him? What's it to him?
Well, I'm confused by it too because what was it? He was endorsing her, and then Boebert was endorsing him, and then she flipped, and then Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, is endorsing McCarthy, and it's like,
right? What's that all about? I mean, what did he promise her? I mean, what's her name? Laura Loomer said that he's sleeping with her. So she put that tweet out, and he's got a history of sleeping with freshman congressmen, according to her investigative reporting. So there's that out there. Maybe there is a relationship between the MTG and KM.
Maybe that's definitely weird. All right, so let me see. Okay, where do we have? Oh, people are talking to each other, which I appreciate.
Okay, what's going on over there?
Okay, who is John Galt? Was he Mark's neighbor? Did he and Mark study in the same school? Will Mark do a movie about him?
Who is John Galt? I forgot.
Isn't John Galt Ayn Rand?
Yeah, the character in the book, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a John Galt. That's the only one I know.
All right. Well, I don't know. I think there was. Wasn't it also one of the pseudonyms for the alleged killer of Martin Luther King, James Earl Ray?
Could be.
Yeah, close to it. I'm not sure.
Okay. Oh, it says next vote at 10 p.m. on a Friday.
Really? This is great. I'm making some more popcorn. I'm going to stay up with this one.
What's funny about that is that, and it shows, all these strange relationships. Apparently, Gaetz has been wandering around the Democrats saying, "You're going to hold, right? You're going to hold. You're going to hold." Because they're afraid that it's a tight margin here, and they're holding out. But then, if the Democrats are like, "Screw it, I'm going home," and
right. Well, Gaetz said he'd resign if they elected a moderate Republican. So I don't know if he's going to hold that as a thing, but he did say that.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
I don't know why. Why does Jim Jordan keep endorsing him? What's in it for Jim Jordan? Unless Jim Jordan, here's my theory. I'll just put this out there. I was talking to someone last night about it. My theory is that they don't want to run anybody against McCarthy because it's going to create immense friction and have man versus man. What they're trying to do is force him to withdraw so then they can pick their own guy and get behind him like a Jim Jordan. That's my take on this thing. As to why they're not offering an alternative. I think they want McCarthy to withdraw, get him out of the race, and then pick Jim Jordan as their own and go with that. So to avoid the fight, Eric, to avoid the infighting of one guy, one candidate versus another, which the Democrats would love to have that fight. I think they're smartly avoiding that and trying to take down McCarthy as a candidate, institution, neocon, douchebag, and then pick their own guy.
Could be.
My opinion. I have no knowledge of that.
All right. So I'm catching up on locals. There's not a lot of direct questions, but somebody pointed out back to the Idaho thing. This is coming out. The guy was born in November. For some reason, I guess that's a very popular birth month for serial killers. I think it's like,
oh, that's weird.
It's like 12, in the top 100 or whatever, that there's like over 12 in November, and every other month is 9 or fewer.
Well, let me just back up here again for the definition of a serial killer. This is a mass murderer, not a
Well, that's true.
Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
Okay. But either way, mass murderer who studies serial killers and mass murders, because Amityville would be a mass murder.
Right. He was not a serial killer, DeFeo. It's
no, he's a mass murderer.
Right. Okay. Just so the audience knows the difference.
Sure.
Because they tend to conflate this in the press. And that's why one of the other reasons I did mass murderer trading cards was to show this. Again, serial killers are all over the world. For the most part, up until very recently, mass murder has been an American-only phenomenon. One day, one man, one incident. That's what we do. Serial killers like Jack the Ripper go back centuries in other countries. We have a specialty. Until very recently, there's been a couple of other types of mass murder.
Yeah, the guy in Norway did like
right. That's
70.
That's an aberration. That's an aberration. Yeah. But when I did the cards, there was nobody in the 80s and 90s. I mean,
there was a British couple, I think, in the 70s. I'd have to look it up, but yeah, it's rare.
Well, it is an American thing. The one day, Charles Joseph Whitman, of course, up in the Texas Tower in Austin, there was a rumor about a tumor nestled at the base of his brain, sang Kinky Friedman. So.
Well, I heard there wasn't a rumor. There in fact was.
Yeah.
He's a unique one. Anyway, yeah, and there's a lot more about that. That's wild. Because I guess that he encountered one of the survivors there. Like one of the survivors, I guess, did cross with him. And
well, that's why we mentioned the Richard Speck thing last week, because he killed the 9 nurses, but one survived and escaped. And he encountered her. She just made believe she was dead and crawled under the bed. I think they had bunk beds in the nurses' dormitory when Speck went in and stabbed them to death.
Could be. Everybody's telling me, everybody in the chat's going nuts about who's born in November. It's like Patton and Rommel both born in November. RFK born in. I'm not saying that it's just a coincidence.
These are people addicted to Googling. That's all they do. They just Google crazy shit all day, naked in their underwear at home while drinking a soda.
Naked in their underwear?
Pepsi or Coke. That's who our audience is. I'm proud of them. And a lot of them are on the spectrum, and they should be proud to be on that spectrum. Stand tall, spectrum people. Don't attack me. I love you.
There you go. Nicholas Kirk on Local sent us a $30 tip. Thank you.
What?
Yeah, he's saying, please split this between Eric and Mark. Mark's book PayPal thing. Yeah, everything on Locals, we do split 100% with each other, 50-50. Mark's got a story for everything. Learned a lot. Keep it up, guys.
I don't have a story for anything. I don't understand women. I have to watch that Mel Gibson movie again tonight. What do women want? Just to understand. I don't know everything. I know there's tons of things I don't know.
Somebody's asking, what do we think of H.H. Holmes being Jack the Ripper, or just going down a rabbit hole? I've heard little rumors of that. I'll just say unlikely, but they do definitely overlap, and it's interesting. Mm-hmm. It's fun topic. Okay, somebody said Atlas Shrugged. That's John Galt.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I thought. Yeah.
Do we have any more?
What was James Earl Ray's name? Wasn't it Galt? Wasn't there someone in the chat could look that up? He had a pseudonym Galt. Maybe he read the novel. I mean, who knows with James Earl Ray?
He could have.
Yeah.
I mean, she's kind of.
By the way, Philip Nelson has an MLK assassination book. I haven't read, but he speaks highly of it himself. So I'm just putting that out there.
Yes, and book on the Liberty, from what I understand.
Yeah, which I have to avoid for other reasons.
But
if Philip's watching at home.
All right.
We don't do interviews, folks. What is your opinion of the so-called Oswald Project?
Okay. Yeah. By the way,
I don't know if there's 2 Marguerites, but there were definitely 2 Oswalds
or more.
Yeah.
On that, we don't do interviews. Okay. It's like you have to qualify everything because
Spectrum people pay attention.
I encourage everybody to subscribe now because I'll be releasing the DiEugenio interview on here in the upcoming days. So if you're subscribed, you should get a notice for it. It'll just go up maybe as a premiere. That is an exception, though.
No.
Again, it was in person.
Let me qualify your qualification. These are interviews outside of the purview of the structure of the show. That's not the same as having an interview show. It's like Tucker doing Tucker Today, right, Eric? When he goes and interviews separately the people for an hour. It's the closest thing I can say, right? Tucker Today, when he has the side interviews for an hour with people.
Right.
Right.
Oh, so, Eric Starvo Gald.
Right. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Not John.
When he was a porno director in Mexico. And if you look at the episode we did, he becomes a porno director.
Right.
Which, we put these nuggets out there for you people, so enjoy them. Nobody has that. Maybe Philip Nelson has it, but other than that,
I don't know. I don't want to talk about it too much because so many people get annoyed. It's like, what do you mean he killed him?
What do you mean?
Well, a lot of people are saying no. James Earl Ray, innocent.
He's innocent. He never did anything. He's an innocent man. It could be a conspiracy, as I alleged, involving James Earl Ray. With a conspiracy, I know it sounds crazy, but men could have conspired together to kill Martin Luther King and selecting a killer to do it, and then giving him phony passports and a way out of the country. I mean, when he was apprehended, he was going to South Africa. Oh, he was going to Brussels first, and then I think he was going to fly to South Africa with the money that came from the conspirators.
Interesting. Okay, well, Grandpapa on Locals, by the way, is saying that Lizzie Borden was a setup. She's a distant relative of his. Family lore says she was innocent, and my whole family is on the spectrum, and we stand tall.
All right, way to go. Let's go. Gave him 40 whacks.
Good, Grandpapa. We're here. Right. We're here for you, man.
I love that. We should get her a trading card, our own trading card, Lizzie Borden.
Yeah, there's probably some out there. Let me see. We've got a super chats coming in. Have either of us seen the movie The Menu?
This girl told me about this last night. She said I'm supposed to see it.
I think I saved it on Netflix for the higher authority to watch.
Right. Yeah, it's on my list of things to watch. It was recommendedly weird. But I said there's a couple of food crazy. The Delicatessen was a weird movie. And The Cook, the Thief, and the Beggar, I forget the full name of that, was another weird food movie. There's been, every 20 years they come out with another bizarre food movie.
Or like a romance, like Chocolat or whatever. I think it was
right. That's not, but I'm talking about like avant-garde, crazy killer food movies with gore and things like that.
Yeah, well, that could be fun.
Yeah.
All right, so let me see. Oh, Gene Shepard, WR Radio.
Oh, you're right. Right. But what did she do before that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I know she was on WR, but I thought she was an evangelist or maybe a public speaker or something. Okay. Gene Shepard.
Soren wants to know any chance for a JFK episode about Katzenbach.
I don't think there's enough there for Katzenbach. He was a deputy attorney general under Robert Kennedy. Under Robert Kennedy, who was attorney general, and Katzenbach famously is asked by RFK to put together the oath of office for LBJ aboard Air Force One, sends it to, transcribes it and orally transcribes it and sends it to, I think, Bill Moyers, who then they bring in Sarah Hughes, the judge that LBJ had asked the Kennedys to make into a Supreme Court judge, and they laughed in his face. So she is brought into Air Force One. They wait forever for her to show up on the tarmac in the 110-degree plane that has no air conditioning, so she can read the swearing in of LBJ, despite RFK telling him, "You're already automatically president. Thanks for killing my brother, by the way."
By the way, I'm getting some corrections and locals, and it makes more sense.
What?
I think it's Jean Shepherd.
Jean Shepherd?
Gean. Somebody's saying Jean or Jean was a he.
Okay.
And the individual wrote Christmas Story.
Okay. Well, then it's enough. Why did they have a bus in the movie Nashville? I have to look into this some more.
I don't know. Maybe there's multiple Shepherds. You know?
Yeah, I think there's an evangelist.
Sybil's sister.
I think there's an evangelist named Jean Shepherd. My memory's failing me, but I'm going to look into that.
Good point. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Is any movie on the Donner Party a food movie by default?
That's
pretty good.
Right.
The Cook, the Thief, the Wife, and her lover.
Right. That's the one I was thinking of. Great movie.
Let's see. Great show. Have you seen the never before seen front view of the JFK assassination? Can't be real. Also, was Gordon Arnold legit? Well, if it's never been seen before, how would
it's hard
I
to see
assume?
something never been seen before? But Gordon Arnold was legit, and I think he was harassed out of Texas after the incident, and he fled for his life. He was one who encountered one of the. It might be just one. I think there's one phony Secret Service agent that multiple people encountered on the knoll. He had a camera. It was taken by the guy, taken away from him, or he was told to put it down. I think they might have taken it away from him. He had just come out of basic training, Eric. Young guy, 22, I think, at the time, and was spooked by the Secret Service, phony Secret Service guy who showed him credentials, which were phony or stolen from the drunken White Lightning event at the Cellar in Fort Worth the night before, when multiple Secret Service agents lost their guns and their ID.
The famous evening.
Yeah.
Fun. Let me see. Beverly Fitch is insulted by you.
Okay.
How dare you? She may be Googling in her underwear, but she doesn't drink soda.
All right. Well, it's an option. There's all kinds of health sodas, by the way. Soda is not just Pepsi and Coke. There's all kinds of other sodas.
Oh, yeah. On that note, maybe I'll take a sip here.
Mm-hmm.
Some Diet Pepsi.
I have. I'm going to take a sip of my Diet Coke from my America's Untold Stories self-made tumbler.
The new and improved purple cup.
Yeah, it's the same one, but it's got the sticker on it.
Right. So it's improved. Okay. Jeff SK is asking a question that actually could be helpful. He's asking what is up with the episodes on YouTube? And I know you've asked this before, and stating that it looks sparse.
Yeah. I've asked it before because they rearranged their channel front page.
Right. And that is exactly what has happened. Is YouTube has, let me go to our channel. Make sure it's muted.
Oh, Gene Shepherd is a man who is a TV personality, writer, actor. Career spanned decades. Is known for the film A Christmas Story, 1983.
Yeah, I want to.
No, this can't be the same guy. Oh, he's born in 1921, so dies in 1990. Radio host. Okay, maybe it is. Raconteur, act. Maybe he is like me. Kind of looks like a disheveled version of me, 1969.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. To answer, the question here. Right. First off, while you're here and we're doing a tour, everybody hit that subscribe button.
You know what? Watch this, because I need to watch this too, because I'm an idiot.
Okay, so first, make sure you're subscribed. We do appreciate that.
Right.
Second, if you want to see our content, YouTube has split it up now to where before it was all videos, whether they were short, live, or other.
Right.
So if you look at videos, there's only a handful because we don't upload that many just straight videos. We do everything live. So if you click on the live tab, you're going to find
Oh, there it is.
tons and tons.
Oh, well, somebody should say that. I mean, how the hell
But-
would I ever know that?
To save time, you don't even have to do that.
What?
Notice I say past live streams here. You
Mhm.
can click the words past live streams and go to the exact same place.
Now you're getting fancy, Hunley. Are you going to put up the Diogenio thing there ever?
Yes, it will be going
Where
up
would
in the
that
next
go?
couple.
Would
That
that
will
go
go under videos because it'll be
Dude, I mean,
uploaded.
how would anybody ever know that? It's not your fault. I'm saying, how would any regular person?
I don't like that YouTube did that. I do like that they split our shorts out.
Okay.
And if you guys want to check them out, that's cool. Those I think interfere. And I like having those split out because they're really, really short and I think they're different.
I like
enough.
the glasses. Does anybody like me with glasses? Somebody said I look all right glasses. Let me ask something. Somebody also said that you should put the title of what it's from on the shorts because they don't know what episode it's from.
Oh, you mean like where if you go here and you look inside the description, it says full live stream with a link like that?
No. I think they wanted it like we're on the front, wherever it is on the front. Like
I don't know. I mean, there's a link in the description to get to
make
it.
it that far. I think the guy had a gun. He was making a demand. I just said, I'm going to talk to Hunley. Please put the gun away. That's all I said at that point.
All right. Well,
he had a gun. He had a gun.
There's a link in the description of every short of the full episode, whichever one it might be. I have a character limit on how many I can put in the title. And if I add the live stream, that's going to crap this SEO and it won't go around.
Why don't we number them? And it just said number 142, 148.
Because they don't get served in numbers to people, and it's very confusing.
You seem to have an answer for everything.
I try to. I have to earn my keep here. So yes.
Again, folks, I'm a complete Luddite. I don't know what he was just talking about. I just make the videos. I don't know what Hunley does with them. He chops them up at home at night. He starts making little mini videos now, and people seem to like it. Some of those have had thousands of views, those little ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a different audience. It's not something that
is it a spectrum-y kind of audience that only could watch a short video?
I don't know. I think there are a lot of people who are just, like bored and standing in line and they don't feel like watching a lot, and they might just be like, hit the short shelf and it just serves up like at random, like a jukebox. It allows our videos to kind of go in front of maybe different people who.
Is it like our version of TikTok?
Well, it is YouTube's TikTok. Sure.
Okay. All right. I'm starting to learn.
Yeah.
Right,
and I mean, I put it up on my TikTok, but they kind of froze my stuff. So
you have a TikTok?
Yeah, I do. But I put a video up on TikTok, had over 360,000 views on it or whatever. And then they ripped half my catalog, banned them all. And every time I upload, I'll get like 3 views. I'm like,
let me tell you something. Those Chinese communists can be vicious, Hunley. Stay off of TikTok. Take it from a man who's gone up against them. Don't go on TikTok, folks.
Well, I haven't bothered because I'm just like,
you're not going to find me on TikTok. I'll tell you that right now.
No, I think there might be a generational gap there. Like,
I don't even know how you get there from here, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what highway you take to get to TikTok from this show, but I'm sure there's a couple of buttons you have to push.
Wow. All right. So Trex 32, we have 2 episodes on the Secret Service, and I really encourage you to check that out.
Yeah.
This is definitely a little long to talk about in here, but we have 2 episodes on it and go really, really in depth.
And then look at Vince Palomara, who is the Jim Diogenio of the Secret Service.
Yep. And by the way, Palomara was in the chat on our 2nd episode of the Secret Service and did not lambaste us. So it was a very good day.
In fact,
he's okay with our info.
Lambast us. He endorsed the entire show. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Oh, I see. So that was Hunley's sarcasm.
Did not lambaste us.
Why would you even suggest that he would lambaste us? I mean, that's crazy talk.
Okay.
The guy loved it. He's a great guy, and he's written
great
stuff, and he's the #1 guy on the Secret Service. Just like Phil Nelson, despite Robert Caro, is the #1 guy on LBJ.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But speaking of Robert Caro, who is working on another LBJ tome, apparently.
Well, maybe he'll get into the assassination finally after 95 books on LBJ. I mean, at some point, for the love of God, man, go down that road. I know you get funding and you're hoping to get funding from the LBJ Foundation for your books or whatever your financial scheme is. But for the love of God, before you die, cross that bridge. Go over to the dark side, bro. Nelson, you need all the Caro books, and then you got to flip to Nelson to get the assassination aspect of LBJ. It's an interesting combo, but I recommend that actually if you read the 5 Robert Caro books and Philip Nelson's LBJ Mastermind of the Assassination, you'll get the full picture of LBJ.
Okay. Oh, somebody's saying, wasn't Robert Zimmerman in Nashville?
Robert Zimmerman was not in Nashville. He was not there. But there are weird people who just show up in that movie. Yeah, just weird people playing themselves. Karen Black, Elliot Gould shows up. Yeah, just a lot of people for no reason show up in the movie.
Somebody's asking on Locals, Mark, is it true that JFK and Liz Taylor were in a threesome when she was 15?
I've never heard that, so I can't comment on it. If you want to smear both of them,
come on, just a question.
I'm kidding. I never heard
that. All right. Bayou Nola, so Bayou, New Orleans, Louisiana, sent a $5 tip and said, "Hey, Mark, I live in the New Orleans area and would be happy to do local research if you need it."
Okay, as you know, I have the key to the city of New Orleans given to me by the Honorable Mayor Sidney J. Bartholomew back in 1986, I think. So I do have the key to the city, and I can open doors when I go down there. But thanks, I may need an assistant, so thank you.
Okay, and USSR Shopping Cart has a question for both of us, which this is like possibly a long question, so I don't know. Or a long answer. If we could fully destroy the 3-letter agencies and then replace them with constitutional versions, what parameters would you put on those replacements? How could we do that?
Okay, not having a black budget. I mean, that's just number one. You can't have a black budget. You can't have a secret budget. You got to reveal the budget like every other agency.
I've got another one.
End of story.
And you can't do unlawful surveillance. You have to have an actual search warrant.
Well, that covers everything. That's a broad answer. You're right, obviously.
Well, I'm just saying, if we're going to go big swaths, it's like start on those big ones and
the black budget has no constitutional or legal authority anywhere in the United States Code of anything. I mean, that would really make for transparency. What's all this money going to Angola about? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No,
let's start with a transparent budget, for Christ's sakes, and vote on it. Maybe they shouldn't have unlimited, $65 billion a month in funding that we don't know about.
Or how about this one? To
answer your question more fully, we do need a church committee. And what I professed was having another church committee every 10 years. The church committee did valuable stuff under Frank Church, a Democratic senator from Idaho, who later died mysteriously of cancer. But what I'm putting out there is a church-style committee, bipartisan, every 10 years, about the 3-letter agencies.
Okay, and my other one is just simplifying everything. Mm-hmm. I don't want to necessarily use the British model, but literally, MI5 for domestic, MI6 for foreign. Same thing here. We have too many agencies.
Well, they kind of simplified it. They had CIA for Facebook and FBI for Twitter. What more do you need?
Well,
they delineated that,
Oh God. Let me see. JS wants to know, what do women want? Let's be honest.
I have no idea. Change our minds moment by moment, and we don't know. We're a little nuts. Yeah, I know. I accept that. I don't not accept that. It's rough to roll with that on occasion. I'll just put it that way.
All right. And Georgina's back. Thank you, Georgina.
Bravo. I'm on level, but can't seem to donate there, but love.
Huh. I think on locals, I'm not sure, but I think it's dealing with coins. Like if you have coins,
How many
you
coins
then
can you
chip
put into that hopper, Eric?
however many. I mean, somebody just did $30. I think somebody did a giant one.
Oh, I paid for that
again,
movie with those coins one time. That
yeah,
that
yeah. It's,
Biden family movie, that atrocious one that's now disappeared.
oh, my son Hunter or something.
Yeah, that crazy one by the Irish couple who live in Santa Monica.
Yeah, you got in trouble for that one.
Yeah, that was a war on the shore. That was trouble. You can't speak your mind anymore because people just flip the fuck out.
Yeah, so some blocking occurred out of that.
Yeah, there was professional blocking. I'll tell you that much.
Let me see. I was in August that August day. I don't need to Google Whitmore. And yep, he had a tumor. I remember seeing men grab their truck.
First of all, it's Whitman. It's not Whitmore. But
oh yeah,
okay,
that's right.
all right. And yep, he had a tumor, and I remember seeing men grabbing their truck window.
I do remember they were firing.
That is
back.
true. Yeah, everybody was shooting from everywhere to no avail. I mean, you're shooting straight up in the air. You know.
Well, and he was a trained sniper. I mean, he was.
No, but not only that, he had all the stone abutments of the tower. You know, I mean, it was in an impregnable.
Perfect
fortress.
position and the skill to carry it out.
If it wasn't for that Mexican American cop going up there, I mean, wow. We had a guy first day on the job here in LA last week, and what was this? No, it wasn't here. It was in New York. First day on the job, rookie cop, day one, gets attacked by a guy with a machete who cracks his skull open. Day one on the job.
Wow.
Yeah, and then he wounded like 2 or 3 other cops before they shot him in the shoulder. But a machete guy. You got a lot of machete guys now. You got to be careful out there.
Well, you guys had a samurai sword porn star guy, if I recall.
We've had a bunch of samurai sword guys. LA is notorious for samurai sword guys. We had the guy at Scientology who showed up with a samurai sword. They riddled him with bullets. Scientology police killed that samurai sword guy who wanted his money back, lived up in Portland, told him he was coming for months, said, I want all my thousands of dollars back you crooks took from me, shows up with a samurai sword. They riddle him with bullets. LAPD shows up. They look at the security camera and go, okay, thank you. Thanks for coming by. Good job, boys. And they left. That was one samurai sword guy. But there's hundreds and hundreds of samurai sword incidents in Hollywood, usually spurred on by crystal meth. Swords and meth go hand in hand, as some of the people in the audience know.
Is that sort of like bath salts and eating faces?
Yes, but this is a different kind of thing, because what you want is the person to shut up who's talking to you. So they use a samurai sword to cut the head off of the person they want to shut up, which could be their grandmother, could be their landlord, it could be their wife. The samurai sword is designed to end a conversation with a meth addict who's psychotic and wants you to be quiet.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. This is a very interesting comment in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to say your name because it's a very odd spelling, but please reach out to me, erichunley.com, contact. I would love to learn more about Jolly West and whatever relationship you had.
Relationship we have?
No, this person knew Jolly.
Okay, well, a lot of people knew Jolly.
Okay, well, I'm interested in talking to people who knew him. It's just an interesting subject.
All right.
For my other channel, dude.
Okay.
I got to get material too. It's fun stuff. It was just on locals. I had a couple. No, sorry, Rumble. Seymour SR saying that they are stuck in a blue state like you, Minnesota.
Okay. Oh man, dude, I feel bad for Minnesota. I feel bad. That is a mess up there.
Apparently, yeah. Tina Gwynn sent a $10 Rumble rant. Thank you. Mark, in light of your background with National Lampoon magazine, do you have any input to any of the Lampoon films, such as Christmas Vacation, etc.? Love you guys.
No, it was, first of all, those were before my time. And second of all, what we were trying to do at Lampoon was to come up with the next film. You know what I mean? That was kind of in the back, instilled in everybody. But that was John Hughes. I mean, he became a legend, John Hughes. I mean, he was an editor before I got there. And he wrote Vacations 58 and then Christmas Vacations and a bunch of other things. But yeah, the idea was to create films. Whether we achieved it, it's yet to be seen, But yeah, that was everybody's goal.
Well, I love John Hughes. I mean,
yeah, nobody wasn't John Hughes when he was at Lampoon. He was just another editor.
Sure. Well, everybody's got to start somewhere.
All these vacation things, Breakfast Club, and Brat Pack stuff. That's all Hughes out of the Midwest, and his Illinois sensibilities of the Midwest. That's what he brought to the table.
Yeah, I mean, starting with Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I think. I mean, he really captured a particular zeitgeist, I feel. He also did Home Alone, for God's sake, which is amazing.
Oh, yeah. No, he's a beast.
I'm sad that he died so young.
Mm-hmm.
David March. Will you ever cover the 1975 LaGuardia airport bombing? Completely memory hold.
No, I agree. Yeah, it is memory hold. I have to think about that.
We won't rule it out.
Yeah, as I said when I was a kid, I asked my dad for advice, and he said, "Don't ever land at LaGuardia in the winter." That was his advice to a teenage angst-ridden kid. And I said, "Thanks, Dad." Short runway, ice, bay. He worked at JFK. LaGuardia was a death trap in the winter. I don't know if it still is, but.
All right. Pasha. I watched the Wormwood miniseries. It made me sad, not surprised. But what's the Yiddish word of the day?
Oh, that's interesting. What can we do today? Give me a couple minutes. We'll get back to that. Let me think.
All right. Ken Waring. Mark, are you aware of the civil trial in 1999 that exonerate? Yes, we're aware the judge.
So it's basically a show trial. Basically a show trial. Show trial. Meaningless.
Yeah.
Meaningless.
In the Zapruder film, you can see a reflection of the shooter on the records building getting ready to shoot. You see a muzzle flash. He's under the light pole on the. I can't see that in the Zapruder film.
Sorry, I can't see this. Sorry. Neither can Robert Groden, but I guess you can. So, I mean, if you could see that, good luck.
I mean, I am okay. I've got a high def copy of it, 4K,
so
but
why?
Wow.
But I mean, if you take enough ketamine, you can see anything.
This seems more than a little unlikely. Mark, frames 313 to 339. Jackie could be holding a gun,
right?
Which appears to slip behind JFK's body.
Right. Yeah. Why not her? Why not Jackie? I met Jackie once. Somebody asked me this in the comments last week. I met her one time with Ratzo. We went to the Egyptian embassy in New York for a book signing party. She became a book editor. And I forget, it wasn't Doubleday. I forget what company it was, but we went there for the food, obviously. But she looked at us like we were crazy from across the room, me and Ratzo and another Lampoon editor. And that's when I met Jackie Kennedy, the one and only time. And she was stunningly beautiful. This was late. She was in her 40s at that point, I guess, but still elegant, beautiful, and staring at us like we were from another planet.
Oh, my God.
In that world, we were. Although, I mean, Lampoon had a literary connection to all kinds of things. We got invited to all kinds of book things and, those type of events. But this was the Egyptian embassy in New York. And I remember talking to Ratzo going, "Are we going to be eating Egyptian food, bro? Or like, what's the deal?" Because we would go to these things for the food, Eric. And we would all the way over. I was going, what kind of food are we going to get at the Egyptian embassy, Ratzo? I mean, but I don't remember what it was, but she was the host, Jackie Kennedy, Onassis at that point, I believe.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, side story, no episode there, but.
The chat wants to get in on the Yiddish word of the day, so I'm just going to run through really quickly a few suggestions, just so they're on the screen. Okay. Misogana.
No. We're going to go with putz. We're going to go with putz today.
Putz. Okay, because we also had
putz. We did prep block. That was a while back. We did that. We're going to go.
Of course, schmuck.
And yeah. That was a
schmata.
Oh, we could use that next week. Thank you for blowing my word of the day next week.
Okay, well, in the future one. Pie Susan's all over this Shmi.
Oh, look at this. Yeah, they're just sitting there with a Yiddish dictionary, machine gun fire. Good luck. They make these little magnets somebody sent me recently of all these Yiddish words on tiny little magnet word things that go on your refrigerator.
That's cool. So you could like shake them around and throw it up. Oh, word is.
Yeah. They're in my kitchen.
All right. Great idea. Let's see. Who does Mark have any thoughts on why Noam Chomsky always disparaged any Kennedy assassination theory other than the Warren Report as a conspiracy? Because he's a grumpy old son of a...
Don't get me started with this douchebag. I mean, he's the authority on nothing. I mean, it was funny because last year when the war started, or February, and he came out and he thanked Trump for being the only political voice to denounce the war in Ukraine. He went 180 degrees and he thanked Trump for being the only politician to come out against the war. Yeah, I mean, Chomsky's a weird dude. His hatred of Israel is breathtaking. His hatred of the Jews is breathtaking. And
well, it's ironic though. The guy who wrote Manufacturing Consent,
right,
is all in on a government manufactured commission. It's like
the guy's erratic. The guy's erratic, bro. I mean, it is what it is. A lot of these guys live way past their
prime.
No, way past their overdue date, like on the side of the food.
Okay. Yeah. Sell by date. Yeah,
sell by date.
He definitely is up there. All right, $2.99 from Brian Ambrose McMahon. Thank you.
That's Bam, by the way.
Bam. Yeah, you're right.
That's his nickname, Bam.
Speedback saying he heard that Kennedy was assassinated because he was looking into stolen enriched uranium from New Mex complex. Any truth to that?
No, but there was a separate scandal having nothing to do with Kennedy's assassination involving the uranium being collected and shipped to Israel. So that is true.
And the generals also were very into possible nukes and hated his guts. There's no single direct thing.
Right. I think there's a combination of a lot of confluence of events that finally led to them pulling the plug on him.
Melissa Scott, 99, super sticker. Thank you.
I like her. She's cute.
Pat M. If windshield shot was the same bullet as throat shot, can't you triangulate to find exact spot of shooter? I would think it might be the same spot as a headshot wound. Your thoughts?
I think Eric and I were standing there, right, Eric?
We were, but I do believe, and I don't remember, was it you and I talking about it, what? But some experts have come out and said that they just cannot recreate it because the speeds, the technology that we have now to know exactly what it was, the variances are so tiny, it's nearly impossible. The road's been repaved up and down. So
we got as close as possible. Eric and I stood on the spot that I suggested and we looked at it, right, Eric? I mean,
yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree it's possible, but I'm saying that the experts...
What other planet could that... Just think about the shot to the throat. What planet could it have come from? There's no buildings there. There's nothing else but the overpass, for God's sake. It's not rocket science involving that shot. Whether it was deflected by the windshield, which I think it was probably a headshot, Eric, right? That was deflected downward into the throat. There's no mystery to this. You don't need the re-editing of the Zapruder film to figure out that first shot to the throat. It's pretty cut and dry, in my humble opinion.
Well, I agree, but I do think it's a scenario, if we're talking about experts,
right,
that it would be where an honest one would say they can't rule it out, but they cannot definitively say. It's one of those situations,
right? But I mean, if you imagine the car being there like Eric and I did, and the lineup of the shot to the throat,
I don't know where else it's going to come from.
That's what we said, right? We both said it's just absurd. It has to come from there. There's no building. There's nothing there except the overpass.
Unless you had that helicopter with the Hollywood distance of the.
Well, it's funny because David Ferry was studying airplane assassinations, and they found in his notebooks in his apartment when he died or was murdered, notebooks about airplane angles of shooting people and assassinating people from an airplane. Interesting. And they don't think it was about Kennedy, but it was more about Castro. Like he was trying to figure out how you could assassinate a guy from a plane who was either in a limousine procession or speaking on a stage, I presume. You just fly around and shoot him. And he had all kinds of angles and sketches in his notebooks of plane shooting down at a person.
Well, and I mean, they kind of did that through a helicopter in Vietnam.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, some of this stuff did sort of, I mean, what was Apocalypse Now? Give them enough lead.
Right. Well, we'll get into that when we do Edward Lansdale and Operation Phoenix. I think Lansdale probably needs his own episode at some point, so people can stop hammering me about that. LeMay will get an episode. Lansdale will get an episode. We have a long list of episodes. And by the way, we're not a jukebox. It's not like we have a list of stories we've researched, and your grandfather's neighbor is not on it. Let me just put it that way.
But we do. I mean, like somebody suggested that earlier about the LaGuardia thing. It's like maybe something may come up and we'll be like, oh, that's an interesting point. So we're not ruling out all input. We're just saying
people are demanding we do the Uvalde shooting or we do this. We're not going to respond well to the demands of YouTube terrorists demanding that we investigate these contemporary situations.
But we appreciate the comment.
Right.
All right. Spuddy Matt, our teacher. Has Mark ever met Alec Baldwin?
Well, we've covered that, right? Or
well, I mean, you've said that you've met him.
Yeah, I've met him. I've done more than meet him.
You guys were tight at one point. No.
Yes, I would hope that we were friends, but apparently maybe not anymore.
But this is a good one. Right. And we might have already covered it 2 weeks ago. But who is the nicest or down-to-earth celebrity / politician / comedian you have met? Could it be Larry Hagman? You just did a show on him.
Yeah, it could be Hagman. He was Gilbert was a nasty. I love Gilbert. He was a nasty troll, but I mean, but Hagman, Hagman was one of the nicest for sure.
So I'll just go with that on, I guess.
Yeah, we'll just go with that.
Will you ever do a show on Vegas shooter, or is that a dead end? Always felt like there was something more to it. Thanks for all the great shows. Still waiting on the footage of Hunley in a cart in Dallas. Remember, you were saying you were going to put me on a friggin' car and we were going to reenact. It was a joke.
Yeah,
we were joking.
Yeah, the Vegas shooter. I don't think we can actually access enough information to do a show on him.
We may do something with Barnes on a freeform because I know Barnes is looking into it a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe we talk about it. But there's a lot of stuff that's not been revealed about that. And that's how Laura Loomer made her bones, was going after that sheriff, in those press conferences early on in Vegas. The Saudis are involved. The purchase of the Saudis and the jet fighter planes is involved. I mean, there's a lot of smoke there. There's a lot of smoke.
Well, she's having a great time with the speaker votes.
And she's having a great time being back on Twitter, thanks to Elon Musk, and other people are showing up back on Twitter you thought were dead or something. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, speaking of requests, somebody's wanting more untold stories on Obama. I think we're done with Obama.
Yeah, I think if you look at the CIA and the family, there's quite a bit in there.
Yeah, it's enough. Yeah.
I mean, there's quite a bit I did on Obama and his family and the CIA. If people want to take a look at that episode, I think you'll be pleasantly shocked as to his multi-generational connections to the deep state.
Okay. Well, okay. Also from locals, Mark, do you have any Andy Kaufman stories? And to continue, I once listened to an insane interview with Bob Zmuda, Andy's sidekick. His first job in Hollywood is working for a guy in the 70s who'd go around NYC with a tape recorder and get into fights with mobsters, then pay them off so that screenwriters knew how to actually write the dialogue.
I don't know about that, but I was in the National Improvisation Theater with Michael Kaufman, Andy's brother, when he was dying in Mexico, taking alternative medicines for his cancer. And then Michael had to go down to Mexico when he died, when we were in the group, which is sad, very sad.
Yes.
So I didn't know. I knew Michael, his brother.
Okay. But yeah, okay. On that happy note.
By the way, the National Improvisation Theater that we were in turned out to be a Scientology front, so we had to quit. It was run by a huge woman named Tamara Wilcox, who was a Queen Bee Scientology recruiter. And once you were in the theater group, she put the bite on you, and I went, "What?" And I was out. I was out.
Okay, somebody in locals on the chat.
Plus, improv is a fake. These structural improvs are really fraudulent.
All right, somebody posted a link to front view footage, supposedly in the locals chat, and I've just asked if they could put it on as a post on locals, which would be cool. We can look at later.
That was done by Jimmy Zapruder, his young son, who had a little toy camera from Kodak that day and was on the overpass.
Yes, I thought he might have been in the sewer.
Right. That was Sewer Man. That was Sewer Man, not to be confused with Umbrella Man, his cousin.
Okay. Somebody wants to know why you remind them of Robert Klein.
I love Robert Klein. Let me tell you something. I was a huge, huge fan of Robert Klein. He was from the Bronx, and he had a whole different zeitgeist of comedy up in the Bronx, but huge fan of Robert Klein.
Well, he was observational comic, right? One of the earliest.
Yep. Incredibly interesting delivery. Great comic.
Very influential to Seinfeld, I believe.
Oh yeah. And his first album was unbelievable.
All right.
So, I forgot about Robert Klein. I wonder whatever happened to him.
I think he might still be alive.
Okay.
I don't know for sure. USS shopping cart left a tip. But Mark, you must do a detailed week-long research-heavy video docu-series on my brother's, uncle's, maid's family's life in Paraguay in the 1600s. I'm gonna unsubscribe and say you hate Israel.
Right. Who also
worked
with Howard Hughes and Robert Mayu. And we forgot what's his name, Rothermel, last week, who was the security head. Paul Rothermel was the head of security for H.L. Hunt. Who talked about Jim Braden being in the office the day before with Jack Ruby. That came out of Paul Rothermel. I forgot to mention that last week.
And Wells Mortensen left a tip and said, but what if my grandfather's neighbor also shot into a Kennedy?
Then we have to do an episode. At that point, we're just going to have to alter the zeitgeist and do an episode. But yeah, we get a lot of these. I mean, they're fascinating. You know, my grandfather's neighbor was Jim Braden. You know what I mean? They are.
Well, we want to hear about it just to hear about it.
Yeah.
That's
cool. I'm interested in all of that crap. You know what I mean? But I can't dedicate an episode towards that guy. But yeah, it's fascinating.
But yeah, we definitely love.
Hold on, how many episodes do we have now?
I don't know.
140 or something. Jesus Christ!
I don't know because I put the shorts up and it screws the numbers, so it's hard for me to break down the exact number of like full length. I'd have to figure it out.
It started off as a lark, and now we got 150 episodes.
That's your fault, dude.
I mean, we have what was the number? 3.5 million views the other day.
Yeah, we've crossed 3.5 million views.
Dear God, this is crazy, people.
Well, we had over 600,000 views in December alone.
Oh my! Oh wow!
Right. So that it is picking up, and we do appreciate it.
PayPal donation for wardrobe fund because we have to come up with some different looks now. I just got this shirt today. It's a new shirt.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Or you can always. I just do the America's Untold Stories merch.
Right.
Oh, yeah, Robert Klein is still alive, 80 years old.
Who?
Robert Klein, still alive.
Beautiful, 80. Wonderful. That's great. That's great. He was never a drug abuser or a drinker. He was a clean living guy. He just happened to live in the Bronx, which when you're growing up in South Brooklyn is like a foreign country. No man has ever gone there when you're a kid. You hear about the Bronx and the Yankees played in the Bronx, but it was really far away. Nobody ever went there.
All right. Somebody on Rumble, I think, is annoyed that I use zeitgeist, and they said the word zeitgeist died in 2016.
Is that true?
No, I don't think it's true. I think it died for them. There was
a movie Zeitgeist about conspiracy that is very interesting. There's a movie Zeitgeist, which I've seen, but the word, yeah, it's a popular word.
Yeah, and if it's dead, I resurrected it. Thank you.
Hunley brings back Zeitgeist, film at 11.
Exactly. Do we have any more in here? The Jane Lane from Local said, read Tom Wolfe review on Chomsky, Kingdom of Speech, The Origins of Speech. In the Beginning was Chomsky by Tom Wolfe.
Okay.
Nobody in academia had ever witnessed or even heard of a performance like this before. In just a few years, in the early 1950s, a University of Pennsylvania graduate student, a student in his 20s, had taken over an entire field of study, linguistics, and stood it on its head.
Okay. Is he talking about Chomsky?
Yeah.
By Tom Wolfe?
Yeah.
Okay. So when was it? 1958 or something?
In the early 50s.
Okay.
I guess Chomsky. Well, he did come out of linguistics. That's the problem with him, is though he is the same thing as people complain about with Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Because they're all like, he's a psychologist. Fine. Talk about that. Stop talking about anything that's not your thing.
Well,
I mean, Chomsky does that.
He clearly goes, like Howard Zinn, how they worshipped Howard Zinn as America's untold story leader, from his takes on American history. People just thought that was the shit until they dove in even deeper, and found out a lot of the Howard Zinn stuff is bullshit.
That's a bitter dude.
Yeah. See, Matt Damon worships Howard Zinn. I think his mother was maybe it was his professor or something at one point. Does he have a relationship to Howard Zinn?
I mean, Matt's a proper lefty.
Right.
I know that.
I think he went to school. Matt, I think Zinn was his teacher or something.
Could be.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. I don't know. I know his mother's a teacher.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe she thinks the same way of him as Kohlberger's mother or whatever thinks of Bundy.
Ricky Hamburger's mother was a teacher too, Mrs. Hamburger, and she made us take our shoes off when we went into the house. They were Germans, and she had white carpeting, so we would run around till she caught us and threw us out of her house all the time. She was a German teacher, and not in my school, but in a nearby school.
Okay. Wells Mortensen sent us a tip on locals and saying, any of these still valid reading? And it's a JFK starter kit, best books. And it's saying Lee Harvey Oswald's Cold War, Volume 1 by Greg Parker.
That's the best book of all, right? He's a friend of mine, Parker, down in Australia. That's fantastic. Part 1 and Part 2. I don't know if the second part is out, but yeah, go on.
Okay, Reclaiming Parkland by Jim DiEugenio.
Absolutely.
Destiny Betrayed, 2nd edition by Jim DiEugenio.
Absolutely.
Someone Would Have Talked, 3rd edition by Larry Hancock.
Pretty damn good. Hancock's okay. Yeah.
JFK and the Unspeakable by Jim Douglas.
Of course. Masterpiece.
The Last Investigation by Gaten Fonzie.
You got to take it with a grain of salt because that's about the House Assassinations Committee. So there's tidbits in there of interest. But
Reasonable Doubt by Henry Hurt.
Very good book. Again, there's some facts that are not true in there, but interesting book. Hurt's a good guy.
And Accessories After the Fact by Sylvia Mager.
Yeah, except that it's an early book, so a lot of stuff is missing. But she was a trailblazer in the beginning. Yeah, you got to have that book.
And Wells Mortensen also sent another tip saying Noam Chomsky, syntactic structure, and you're both rewarded and done with this fella. Okay,
us, we're done.
I guess that she's saying there that's his contribution to everything.
Oh yeah.
Go to that and move on.
Right. Good point. The rest is just his opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but it doesn't have anything to do with semantics, though, does it? I mean, it's just
he's a linguistics professor, so that is his specialty.
Right. So if I hear him talking about the New England Patriots, I should take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. The Texan. What's y'all? As we said earlier, that was a show trial.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Melissa Scott, I'm usually binge watching. You all happen to upon a couple videos on the FDA's war against cancer treatments. Have we seen the Brzezinski films? I haven't.
I haven't. I don't know about that. I'm not really a cancer treatment guy, but at one point they most of the FDA money they did tell me this because let me take it back. The Federal Trade Commission, most of their investigative money goes into investigating phony cancer treatments. Because I was once doing an article on phony addiction treatment, contacted the Federal Trade Commission. I started with the FDA, but they sent me to the Federal Trade Commission, and they didn't have any money to investigate phony addiction cures. And they told me that the bulk of their investigative money went towards phony cancer cures. If that helps at all.
All right. A decent line here. Chomsky was a cunning linguist.
Right. Cunning linguist. I get it.
I've heard it before, but
you think Chomsky's heard that before himself? That's kind of. I would love to get his take on that. Are you a cunning linguist, Mr.?
I did not know this occurred, but any comments about Ashley Babbitt's mom getting arrested today for jaywalking at the Capitol?
I can only, well, that's kind of weird, but I can only say that jaywalking here in Los Angeles was determined to be racist because the people jaywalking were homeless minorities getting hit by cars. And to make the playing field level, January 1st made jaywalking legal in Los Angeles. So now everybody's jaywalking equally and getting hit by cars. It's kind of like the equity version of jaywalking, if that makes any sense. So now you're allowed to go out into traffic and get hit by a car.
All right. Well,
in Equityville here.
Go enjoy.
No, it was the reason it was a very high fine for jaywalking was to save your life and discourage you. So minorities couldn't afford to pay $385 for jaywalking. So they decided to make jaywalking legal for everyone in the reverse planet universe bizarro world called Los Angeles.
Okay. Pat M is instructing us here. Let me see. Grassy knoll shots were 90 degrees to the limousine. No, they weren't.
Degrees at all.
They were about 65 degrees approximately. I don't know. It was at an angle. It was not a straight line. So I would say no, because I stood at the grassy knoll. I looked at the X and let me see. This is 90. And if you're at the grassy knoll, it's kind of like that. It's an angle. But anyway, whatever. And then
and moving cars, moving bodies too. Right. Moving cars, moving heads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, and it was hit. He's hit in the throat first.
Oh, he's talking about the throat shot or the head shot here? Because he's saying grassy knoll.
Well, he's saying all hits.
Oh.
So all hits were front and back. I don't know. I'm confused by the question.
Right. Well, the bullet going through the guy's head would probably go through his throat if I was shooting from the same gun from the same spot.
Good piece of news. You don't have to fill out the stupid.
Yes. That's great. Yeah, I think they're talking about PayPal and Venmo.
Oh, what? It got skipped a year?
Yes. No. Yes, they canceled it. Ooh. I forgot to tell you that. They canceled it. It was a bluff. Oh. They didn't have the manpower nor the ability to pull it off.
Okay. This is kind of a hard question to answer. What is the most important JFK document withheld? Well, if it's withheld, I don't know.
Well, as I've alleged before, it involves Mexico City. That's been my guess since day one, because what we see dribbling out is stuff about Mexico City, and the Achilles heel of the assassination is Mexico City, as I've said for 25 years. Because if they're framing him in Mexico City, and I believe, as does I believe Jim DiEugenio in this interview, that Oswald was not in Mexico City, that the frame is him in Mexico City with phony photos, phony audio transcripts from the phone that's picked off by J. Edgar Hoover, who tells LBJ in the episode that we were talking about it, that this is doctored by the CIA and is a phony imposter Oswald. If that is the case, I believe the documents left behind might involve the setup of Oswald as the person in Mexico City as a way to frame Cuba and the Soviet Union if he was getting a visa to go to Havana, which is what the frame is. You can see the frame pretty transparently of what they're attempting to do to Oswald. They don't really need Oswald in Mexico City. And in fact, FBI reports have him at the DMV and unemployment in Austin and Dallas at that time.
Fair enough.
That's my opinion on it.
No. I mean, it makes total sense.
I mean, because recently, I'm just saying, recently, everything that's come out is about Mexico City. So I believe there's more at the bottom of that barrel involving Mexico City that we're gonna someday maybe find out.
Got a couple more suggestions from locals.
What?
You should do an episode on all the celebrities who could have faked their own deaths. John Denver fits this profile. Father worked at Roswell for the Air Force. Most famous song is predictive programming for how he'll die. He was connected to NASA, etc. I don't know.
Wait a second. John Denver is still alive? Is that part of the theory? Or
I guess so.
They fake their own death and go where?
I don't know. I don't have the rest of it.
I did a piece for Lampoon called Island of Dictators. and it was a dictator's island where the deposed dictators went and lived in a club med of dictators in a fantasy world after they were deposed. Like they stole their country's wealth and started a club med of dictators on an island. So maybe that's where these phony death people are.
Okay. Somebody else is saying, tell Mark that the Three Stooges were the best Lithuanian Jewish comics ever. An episode about them would be fun. I know you're not taking requests, but Mark can probably do an episode off the cuff. They are my dad's favorites, and I've read books. But you guys always have some odd take.
Right. We could do the Stooges. That's not so far-fetched. Or the Marx Brothers. I mean, those two are ripe for us to do, Stooges and Marx Brothers. And
so we won't rule it out then?
I'm not ruling that one out. That's for sure. I'm not ruling that out. That's a good one.
Okay. A Lamppost pundit on Local said that they saw John Denver in West Virginia a couple weeks ago.
There you
Were
go.
you headed looking for Mothman?
Well, he was doing a spot on Tim Pool. Apparently, he is going to be on the Tim Pool show, and he may have been swatting Tim Pool all along as a way of crying for help. I mean, who knows with Denver?
Could be. And
yeah.
Paul's mashup channel. Have we seen the claim that Trump was Tucker's JFK source? Yes, I have seen that.
I have heard that. Yeah, I have heard that. Yeah.
All right. So that, you know what, that actually wraps up the super chats. Yes.
Oh,
and everybody has to know that Oswald is still available.
Still a patsy. Someone said that because he said he was a patsy, he was in on the assassination.
He's an innocent patsy. That's a patsy, guys.
Right.
But if you really want him to have company, there's always the Groubert.
That's a much better item. Look at the bear. Look at the dog. Look at the bear. I mean, which would you people rather have, that bear or that two-faced? What's his name?
What do you say? Pudding face? You called him like Gorbachev.
No. It's like, what's his name? The ventriloquist who was on
Jeff Dunham. Wait.
No. He was on Star Trek with his face split down the middle, black and white. The Riddler from Batman.
Oh wow.
Frank Gorshin.
Oh, okay.
He had the black and white face, right?
I never watched Batman.
No. Well, he was the Riddler in Batman, but he was also in Star Trek with the episode where the racism was what side of your face was black and the other side was white. And at the end, they looked at each other and their whole hatred for each other was the reversal of the black-white split on their face.
Okay.
Which reminds me of that dog.
Okay. So, and that's why you have hatred for poor Oswald?
No, I just have flashbacks to that episode as a child. And, being in a sex cult and being raised in Brooklyn in a really, really bad Hasidic Orthodox sex cult that didn't know what they were doing, made us eat gefilte fish for days on end while being locked in a closet, being preached to Haggadah, and having to memorize the 4 questions. It was a dark period of my time, of my life. Luckily, I escaped through a bathroom window, which will be an episode, Trapped by the Orthodox Jews in Brooklyn episode.
All right. Fedier, I think it's Fedier, is asking, what's the site to order an Oswald? There are links in the description below.
Down below.
Yes. And you can also just get their.
There's also links to me for PayPal and Venmo if you want to be involved in the JFK book fund. That guy, whoever that guy was, mentioned some of the top 10 books, but there are hundreds, my friends, hundreds. The ones he mentioned, if anybody wants to play that back, I'd highly recommend. I think he named about 10 books there, but
several, and they were all. You've mentioned them multiple times.
They were all good books, but if you want to get into the JFK donation book fund, you can hit me at PayPal or Venmo.
See, Supermod Secret McSquirrel put it up there. You can always go to ericunley.com/AUS merch. That'll take you there. You've got to dig. It's very annoying. It's crappy but you have to link, go find accessories, and it's down in there. But Oswald's very popular. More Oswalds go out definitely than that.
Oswald, is that the number one?
By far.
Oh my Lord, I didn't know that. I take it all back. It's one of the greatest dogs of all time. Except the dogs. I had the Betty White yesterday at Pink's in Hollywood, which is a naked dog with nothing on it. Because when you go to Pink's, they put, I mean, they would they have a lasagna dog. They put lasagna on top of the dog. I mean, they have things that are insane. They've also got the Brando, which is cheddar cheese and chili sauce. It wasn't that bad. But the Betty White is a naked dog on a roll at Pink's on La Brea.
Oh, nice.
If you're in Hollywood, I recommend it.
Wells Mortensen had another tip. Are locals coins easier to cash out than PayPal for some of us outside the U.S. banking system? For Mark and I, they've added the ability to where we just move the coins over and we get a paycheck from locals. I don't know as far as if you're subscribed to locals. I think if you buy it, you just have it. I don't think you could just trade it in for cash. I think you have to, donate it or
world we live in,
Yeah, I definitely don't.
People
don't
want
have
to pay, and you got to go through all these machinations to transfer wealth. Miniature amounts of wealth.
Oh, you know what? You were talking about crazy babysitting. Here's one saying that Charles Manson babysat for Grandpa Munsters.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I've heard that. It's an urban legend, but there is some truth to it. I think is it in O'Neill's book or no? It may be in the family. By my old friend Ed Sanders from up in Woodstock. He used to be a member of a group called the Fugs, who wrote the definitive book on Manson before O'Neill called The Family, which I highly recommend.
Yeah, that was the one that came out after Helter Skelter, I believe. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Considered the corrective one or whatever.
Yep.
Well, awesome. Okay, so to wrap things up, what's coming up Tuesday, or are we going to keep it?
No, I don't care. I don't know how to explain it because it's
Jill.
still in flux, but we're going to do the history of gum, American gum, Wrigley versus Tom's, and how these two men, Adams in New York versus Wrigley in Chicago on chewing gum and the history of chewing gum.
Kind of like the Coke versus Pepsi.
It's a little bit more industrial than Coke versus Pepsi, but it involves a couple of men and it involves the modern day creation. I mean, obviously gum goes back, but I'm talking about American industrial capitalist industrialization of chewing gum on Tuesday. And you think, well, how interesting can that be? Well, you'll see. It's a weird story. And I like it and Eric likes it. So hopefully you'll like it. I mean, if not, you could go watch something else on the channel, but we're going to do the history of chewing gum and see if we can pull this off. You will
like it or else. No.
Right. Or else, it's a sticky subject. It's a sticky subject, but just chew on it over the weekend and see if it has any resonance towards you on Tuesday. It's a fun Americana ride. You'll enjoy it.
All right. Jennifer, yes, I've seen the new layout. I don't have an opinion yet.
I'm afraid to look at it. I was just barely understanding the other layout.
Yeah, it's all right.
Is this because of Viva working with them, or
no? I think they're just trying to moderate. I mean, Rumble, good. Keep working. They need to keep working it. I'm happy they are.
Right.
There are other improvements you can do too, like letting us click. How about getting a good tie to StreamYard so I could just pull up Rumble rants right here like I do on YouTube? A lot of neat things.
Out of my pay grade, Hunley. I don't know what you're rambling on about there, but that's way
better interactivity between the two systems would be just amazing. Start there.
It's like beta versus
VHS.
VHS. That's where we are, right?
Yeah, but sadly, just like usual, the superior technology lost. Why? Because they didn't support porn. But anyway.
Oh, is there porn on Rumble?
No. I'm just saying the superior technology lost.
You mentioned porn. I'm sorry. I woke up. I was spacing out. You mentioned.
No, of course. So you usually do that with me. I got to get wherever I can.
Right.
Thank you for the super sticker. Outright mental defective.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it is. That's almost like a Rumble name.
Did we get any Rumble rants, by the way?
Yeah, I read a couple.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm spacing out. Sorry.
Yep. So on that note, folks.
That's it.
I'll be doing a grill stream tomorrow, probably a walk and talk on Sunday. Not sure.
Sandwiches and come hella high water.
And come see us on Locals. On structure.locals.com.
Oh, yeah. That's really recommended. Locals is where it's at.
You follow us for free. If you like it and want to support us, please do. $5 a
What
month.
about
50 a
subscribing
year.
to this channel? Is that possible by these people, or is this just out of?
It is possible. There's a button. Sometimes it's red, sometimes it's black. It says
One guy said
subscribe.
he couldn't subscribe because he was unemployed. I swear to God, in the comments this morning. Oh no, he said he couldn't subscribe. I swear to God, he said I can't subscribe. I am on a fixed income.
In fairness,
Right. Another guy said
subscribe
he
is
couldn't
a bad
subscribe. He wanted
term.
to be followed by the feds. That was another guy said that.
Well, that's fair enough. But no, in fairness to the people who are saying that about subscribing, it's a poor term. It should be follow, because
Right,
subscribe, you subscribe to a magazine, you pay for it. You
Right,
subscribe
good
to
point.
anything, you pay
You know
for it.
what? That's a great point.
And it confuses people. So,
Right. Can you follow us on YouTube? That sounds better. Follow
but
us.
they unfortunately have the button called subscribe. They've actually changed it in podcasts, because
What's
it
it
used to be
called there?
subscribe to a podcast. It's been changed to follow. And I'm hoping that it goes along, because like on Locals, you can follow for free, subscribe to support.
That makes sense. You know who wouldn't have an answer to this if we get him on the phone? Chomsky. Chomsky would know the answer to this.
You're right. So
We got to
let's
get
go ahead.
Chomsky's phone. Yeah, let's try to find Chomsky and report back on Tuesday as to what his answer was for this linguistic nightmare. Conundrum, yeah. Did you say conundrum, boys? You know, the history of conundrum goes back to 1812. Dude, imagine talking to Chomsky and then you're on acid and he's telling you this crazy crap and you're like tripping.
I don't know, but it could always be part of the zeitgeist. And we'll see you Tuesday.
Thank you. Thanks for stopping.